The summer of '93. Where has it gone? The '93 season on the GM Goodwrench Tour has been moving as fast as the cars themselves. It seems we just got started with the tour on Raceline back in June at Cayuga Speedway, and we're already into the fade of August into September, with only a half dozen shows left on the schedule. It's time to put it all in freeze frame and examine the totals. Campbellville, Ontario's Junior Hanley returns home to Cayuga Speedway, scene of some of his most memorable triumphs, leading the points with 9 wins, shooting for a 3rd consecutive title. But Junior will remind you, this battle will rage to the end, because the Tour's old guard has the pressure intense. 52-year-old Harmon Beaver Dragon is less than 230 behind Junior, and 53-year-old Ralph Nason is 3rd in points, just 37 back of Beaver.
Junior's a tough competitor. They don't come any better. It's going to be awful hard to beat him. We are trying to hang on to 2nd at this point. I don't think there's any possible way of probably pulling this championship out, but if we finish 2nd, we feel as though we've won the championship too, because Junior's in a class by himself.
Well, Beaver and I are having a real good run for points, and you know, Junior, like, he's got a pretty comfortable lead there, but if he has a couple of bad days and Beaver and I have a couple of good days, it could get real tight before the end.
They say experience is everything. Between Dragon and Nason, you're looking at close to 30 years experience. But keep in mind, absolutely nobody in today's field has turned more laps and won more events on this 5/8 mile oval than Junior Hanley. It's overall experience versus track experience as we hit the final 3rd of the GM Goodwrench Tour season. From Cayuga Speedway, Nels Corners, Ontario, it's the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200 on Raceline. Hi again, everybody. I'm Eric Thomas, along with Dave Moody and John Massingbird, and welcome to Cayuga Speedway for the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200. I want to tell you something. Only 6 events left on the GM Goodwrench Tour, including this afternoon show. Junior Hanley does have the points lead, but tell you what, Beaver Dragon all season long has not given up, and Ralph Nason creeping into 3rd place in this whole situation.
Well, Dragon and Nason in a pretty hot battle right now for 2nd place in the overall standings. Both have run very well here at Cayuga. As a matter of fact, Ralph Nason beat Junior Hanley rather handily in qualifying. So Nason and Dragon, both guys to keep an eye on today.
I'll tell you what, no one gets more excited than hot, deep-seated rivalries, and we've got a great one here this afternoon. It's probably the hottest and sometimes one of the bitterest in Ontario stock car racing history.
Well, Junior Hanley and Don Biederman don't like to be together. They don't like to see each other. They don't like to breathe the same oxygen if they can avoid it. Some bitter, bitter incidents over the years, on track and off. I guarantee that those fellows will have one eye on the field, one eye on each other most of the day today.
For some inside news on today's starting grid, here's John Massingbird.
Well, he was last year's Rookie of the Year on the ACT GM Goodwrench Tour. This year, he's devoting a lot of his time to running Peterborough Speedway. Cam Wallace, anytime the GM Goodwrench Tour comes close to Southern Ontario, you want to get in on the action. What's it going to be this afternoon?
Well, we certainly do, John. I love racing, as you know, and you're right, I've devoted a lot of time to the racetrack this year. The race today, the car is extremely fast, and unfortunately we have to start near the back, but then again, a lot of other fast runners do too. So we're looking forward to the race today, and I think we're going to be up front at the end, and certainly we're strong.
Well, we've seen him on Raceline over the last couple of years. If anybody can work traffic, it's this man, Kim Wallace. We'll look for an exciting race this afternoon. When we return, it's green on Raceline.
Raceline is brought to you by new Kodak Gold Ultra 400 film for all your Kodak moments. Your GM Goodwrench Service Plus dealers, where you get the finest quality work at competitive prices. Revell Monogram, the world's model maker. And Aerofoil wiper blades, the leading edge in wiper technology.
Row 1 for this afternoon's event. Dave Whitlock, the former CASCAR champion from Petrolia, Ontario, in the Motorcraft Ford outside the Youngster from Randolph, Vermont.
Kip Stockwell, the Napa Auto Parts Buick Regal.
For the stars of the future, Donald Forte has had himself a pretty improved year here, Dave Moody. And Danny Knoll Jr., after that third at Oxford, this is a team with a lot of confidence this year.
Danny Knoll coming on strong. That really boosted his confidence and his performance as well. Here's two youngsters to keep an eye on as well. Tracy Gordon, strong main, the top rookie on the GM Goodwrench Tour for 1993. And a young lion from Norwin, Ontario, Derek Lynch in the OnSat Chevrolet.
Now back on the Canadian side with that U.S. experiment going a little bit awry, but he's glad to be back in Canada. Here's a look at the balance of the field. Start with row 4, Brad Layton and Ricky Harrison, second in rookie points currently, Dave.
Fellow to keep an eye on. Bill Zardo Sr. picked up his first win of the year earlier this year at Flamborough, and he knows this track very well.
Row 7 is well, you'll find Junior Hanley as he goes after his 10th win this year. He picks up 2 more victories, and he'll tie Robbie Crouch for that record for most number of wins in a season.
Row 11, one of the sleepers. Mike Rowe, the winningest driver in the history of the Oxford Plains Speedway in the state of Maine. First ride of the year in the Beaver Dragon backup car, starting back in the field, but he is a good racer. He'll be at the front before long.
Saw Pete Shepard in the 79. He'll start back in the field. Normally the crew chief for Zardo Sr.
Junior Hanley, of course, on top, pulling away with the points lead, but behind him, rather tight. Dragon, Nason, LePage, Brad Layton, all in the hunt for the number 2 finish at the end of the year.
But it has been Campbellville, Ontario's Junior Hanley, the guy they've been trying to catch just about from the get-go of the season. Whitlock has got the point, bringing these cars around. Feet go down, RPM comes up, John Holbert looks him over. He's got the green, and we're underway at Cayuga Speedway, the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200.
Look out, trouble already. Don Forte dirt tracks it through the infield. Look out, gets into Tracy Gordon, who gets into Derek Lynch. And we've got to pile up before the first corner is complete here at Cayuga. Caution flag is out. Everybody appears to be rolling, with the exception right now of Tracy Gordon, who's got some major league damage on the front end of that automobile.
Yeah, he hit that wall pretty hard. You'll see it here on the replay. But man, I tell you what, these guys are some of the damage and some of the debris on the track, Dave. The weather here has been threatening all day. These guys are over anxious to get this thing in here, and that's pretty well what caused that.
They've been dodging rain showers all weekend. They haven't had the amount of practice they need, and let's see what happened here. You're looking out the back window at Derek Lynch, who, wow, is about to get involved in a big way.
Cars going right angles to the field is not what you want to see, I'll tell you that much. Derek Lynch gets spun around here, and Tracy Gordon makes contact, and here's John.
Well, looking more like a train wreck than anything else. Tracy Gordon has got a complete front-end damage. We've got a hole through the rad. The front-end alignment is way out. This young man has a lot of work to do before he even starts lap number 1. A tough break for Tracy Gordon.
They're going to have to get the mops and the squeegees down there. This thing is leaking all over the place.
Yeah, I don't believe that's a fixer. Radiator is destroyed. Obviously, some severe body damage may have bent the frame as well. I think Tracy Gordon's day has come to an end almost before it began.
Too bad. Now, Donald Forte, we mentioned off the top, is having himself a pretty good year here. Picked up a little bit of damage on the left corner of the car.
Mostly fiberglass, it would appear. He and Kip Stockwell.
That's right.
Got together on the front straightaway, did a little bit of rubbing, and triggered the incident. Let's go trackside and check in with Derek Lynch.
Derek Lynch, Eric Thomas, TV, you read?
Eric, I hear you. Go ahead.
Kind of a wild start. How badly are you banged up, Derek?
I don't think we're too bad, Eric. I think it's just body work on 17 car, trying to get down low to avoid the 42, across stuff and go up across the track into me. I think we're okay. We'll know better once we go green, I guess.
Derek Lynch very fortunate. As you can see by the body damage, he took that blow just behind the left rear tire, 6 inches further ahead, and his day was over.
Absolutely. John is standing by in the pits with Tracy Gordon.
Tracy Gordon, I know this is not the way you wanted to start this race. First lap incident, what happened?
Well, I see the 42 car and the 16, I think it was, come together down into the turn there, and the 42 started going up the track, so I went to go underneath. There's the only place to go, and evidently he came back across and clipped my back end and stuck me right head first in the wall.
It's always a tough break when somebody else does it, but Tracy, the front end's tweaked pretty good and a hole in the rad. Can you guys get it fixed and go back out and get some points?
Well, I was hoping so, but then I got a session of damage, and no, we're not going to be able to make it back out.
Well, a tough break for this young man. He's going to be heard from in the future. He is one of ACT's young and rising stars.
Time now for performance racing news. North America's Motorsport Authority. We're going to get at this a little earlier this time. Well, GM Goodwrench Tour drivers can whip through 200 laps at this place in no time. Who's got the track record? Randy McDonald, Kevin LePage, or Chuck Bown?
An hour and 44 minutes for 200 laps.
Not bad.
Didn't spend a whole lot of time under the yellow flag. I think that's safe to say.
Don't mull that over in your mind. We'll get the answer for you a little bit later on. Meantime, the GM Goodwrench pace car brings this field around. No change in that front row. Dave Whitlock out of Petrolia, car 92 on the inside. Kip Stockwell, the 16 on the outside, bringing up those RPMs once again. Pace car ducks in, and we're back underway at Cayuga.
Once again, David Whitlock gets the jump down on the inside, but Kip Stockwell hanging tough with him and drives around him on the high line. Kip Stockwell, the second-year driver, the family financed racer out of Randolph, Vermont, gets a great break on the green flag, and he'll take his turn at the front. Whitlock now second, and on the outside, here comes Kevin LePage in the 21.
Out of Shelburne, Vermont, we talked with Kip Stockwell up front here, Dave, in the pits. He says we got a pesky little vibration in the rear end. I hope we can find it. Obviously, they found it. He's running very well, but here comes LePage in the 21, and Whitlock is sticking right with this trio.
Kevin LePage on a rampage here in the late season, and they go 3 deep into the corner.
Nice.
Everybody sorts it out, and Kevin LePage, with a testosterone-rich move on the outside, comes away with the lead in the 21.
Here's the gravel cam as they come whipping by the wall here for you, but a great move by Kevin LePage, who, by the way, has this car skinned in the plastic normally reserved for the high straightaways at San Air. He's looking for a little bit of an aerodynamic advantage, and it's working so far.
Well, there's no doubt that they're running high speeds here at Cayuga. At the end of the straightaway, we got a major problem. Ralph Nason has blown something up, and there's fluid everywhere and cars everywhere. Brad Layton in it, Bill Zardo, Ralph Nason, Kim Wallace, and a number of others. High impact for Wallace in the 27 car. There's Yvonne Bedard pulling away. Rolly McDonald with some heavy rear end trouble. Little flame out of the Bill Zardo car. That's just excess fuel burning off the headers, but man, oh man, that is a wild pileup in only the 3rd or 4th lap of this race.
Yeah, I just heard a little squeal out of the corner of our ear there, and all of a sudden we whip over here, and we find this mess up against the wall. Now they're going to try and get the hood up on the Zardo. Well, maybe they're going to dent it instead. This is a very overzealous kind of a fire guy. He's looking for flames. And now he's going to get Brad Layton to get out of that car, too. They can't be too careful, though, Dave. You see flame, you got to make sure these guys get out.
That was just a little excess fuel burning off the headers. Nothing really to worry about. I'm sure he'll have something to worry about, though, if Zardo gets after him for jumping on his car.
What a shame here.
Yeah, Rolly McDonald, who hauls in from the ends of the earth, Pictou, Nova Scotia, all the way out to Ontario, and his day is over early. No doubt the day also over for Kim Wallace, the former Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year last year, but now just part-time on the GM Goodwrench Tour. His family running Peterborough Speedway, and he's had this car, Dave, entered in some of these super late model races here. He's one of the few drivers that runs consistently quick here, and now the parade on pit road with another yellow flag.
Pit road has been a very busy place here in the early going at Cayuga. None of these teams obviously wanted to see their cars in the pits this early. Brad Layton coming in the Ferox Buick, car number 1X. Layton got away probably about as lucky as anybody in that melee up in turn 3. Does not appear to have severe damage. Looks like they're going to change a tire or two and check things out. Let's go down to the pits where John is standing by with the man that triggered this incident, Racing Ralph Nason.
Well, the only Mopar product in the field. Ralph, what happened?
I really don't know what happened as we was going down the backstretch. Car was running like a flying machine, and all of a sudden she just knotted up. Something broke inside the motor. I don't know what it was.
Ralph, you must be very disappointed. A tough break. I know you've worked so hard to get this Chrysler running well.
Yeah, this Mopar was honking, I'll tell you. She was getting the job done. Next week's another week.
Ralph Nason, one of the toughest, one of the best. He's out.
Tough break for him, too. He won his heat and he won his semi. He was faster this weekend, Dave.
Well, after 30-odd years of good and bad on the racetrack, you learn to take things in stride, and there's a fellow that's going to have to take it in stride, too. I don't see any way that Rolly McDonald's going to be able to get back in with the rear clip pushed over like that.
Too bad, too, because I talked with him in the pits, and he says, you know, I've tried a new radical setup on this car, and it's the best the Luminous felt all year. Now he doesn't get a chance to test it, really. And look at the damage here. This is up in the thousands for Kim Wallace. A tough break for him, too.
I'd say at least a couple of $1,000 to get that one back together.
Bill Zardo Sr., also a victim of physical form of racing. Unfortunately for Bill, he's been in just too many of these things over the last few weeks on the GM Goodwrench Tour. You can see the front end damage sustained on the left-hand side. Obviously upper and lower control harms on the the right-hand side. Everything looks pretty good, but the crew's assessing that as well.
Don't know if you noticed with your eagle eye, Rob Neely, Cash Cars Rob Neely giving Big Z a hand in the pits here.
He's going to need all the help he can get. They've got some serious damage.
Here we go again with another round of the GM Goodwrench Service Plus Pit Stop Challenge, and some of these guys can really fly. Let's start it off with Norwood, Ontario's Derek Lynch and his bunch over the wall.
Final chance to qualify for the season finals coming up just a little while from now out at Motorsport. This is one of the top young teams on the tour. Now, this crew is 100% different than it was at the beginning of the year, but they haven't missed a speed in terms of good finishes in the pit stop series, and this one won't do them any harm either.
Exactly. Now, Brad Layton out of Center Harbor, New Hampshire. Over the wall they go.
They hold the all-time record, 14.3 seconds for the all-time fastest stop.
That's flying.
I'm not sure they're going to quite get that here today. The right front is done in record time, a little bit behind on the right rear. That'll cost them some time, but as always, Gardner-Levitt's Fair Oxtein getting the job done for Brad Layton.
Now Brampton, Ontario's Bill Zardo Sr. pulls it in here. Pete Shepard on the right front tire. Jackman comes around. There is Rob Neely with the tire holding there.
Pete Shepard Jr. today behind the wheel of his own race car, but yesterday changing tires. Jack of all trade on the Bill Zardo team, and getting a pretty good pit stop on that right front corner as well. Z-Team well in the hunt for the overall.
Pretty quick crew. Now let's have a look here as Junior Hanley's crew vaults over the wall and the service is underway.
Currently number 2 in the regular season standings, looking to be among the top 5 finishers to advance on to the finals later on this year for $5,000 to win. And this crew gets a good stop in here today at Cayuga. That's record time for 2 tires and gone.
Not bad at all. Let's have a look now at Kevin LePage out of Shelburne, Vermont, and this team can really fly, Dave.
Crew chief Chris Shagnon, the ever athletic on the front corner.
Heads up.
He gets it done on a hurt. Boy, that could hurt.
You no kidding.
But they don't care. They're getting it done.
This is a good one.
Are down
That's
the way.
excellent.
Hey, that's an excellent stop. It may not have been ballet, folks, but it'd be a lap time. A lap's time is what counts here.
All right, check of the clock, and yes, Kevin LePage's crew, it looked fast, and it was. They'll pick up first place in this round.
LePage's team at 16.4 and change wins it by about 2 seconds over the Junior Hanley crew. Bill Zardo, Brad Layton, Derek Lynch, the top 5 in the standings, finish in the top 5 here today.
Lots more action to come from Cayuga in a moment. Eric Thomas, Dave Booty, and John Massingbird back at Cayuga Speedway under cloudy skies, threatening skies. The GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200, Beaver Dragon in the pits for service.
Dragon involved in that skirmish when Ralph Nason lost an engine. Let's take a look at the Beaver as he threads his way through traffic. Left, and right again, and brings it to a stop as the rest of the field sneaks by, barely missing the Derek Lynch car.
Exactly. Here's another look at it again. Everybody scatters in a hurry.
There's Dragon right there in the middle of your picture. So let's see, 3 wide down the back chute, everybody on the brakes, slides, and just barely comes to a stop in time.
Mike Whedon pulling the Cale Yarborough there, threading his way out of danger.
Pace car set to come in. LePage and Whitlock, nose to nose on the front row, ready to go with the restart. Junior Hanley, by dodging the wreckage, is already up to 3rd in the 72 machine.
There he is.
LePage on the inside, Whitlock on the outside, Hanley and Mike Whedon in row number 2. Chief starter John Holbert, green flag in hand, and they're back underway. Kevin LePage jumps out to the lead, and he'll lead the parade into turn number 1.
And it didn't take Hanley long to move into 2nd place. Take your mind back on Raceline at Cayuga last year, Dave, when Hanley was on his way to that Triple Crown payday, and LePage doing a fabulous job to chase him down. Fuel ran out with 1 lap to go. You can bet that Kevin LePage is thinking about that right now.
Well, these 2 drivers are well familiar with each other. They race together 25 or 30 times every single year. LePage knows who's in his rearview mirror right now. That can't be a very good feeling because Junior Hanley has had things pretty much his way on the tour, to say nothing about Cayuga Speedway over the last 20 years.
No, and we said it in the opening too. Nobody has registered more laps or more wins, and here's going to go for the lead here. A little bit of a wobble coming into turn number 4, but that's normal for this place. Ducks it down low. A couple of T-birds fighting it out up front here.
Junior Hanley slides it through on the inside, and Hanley in the Molson X machine is your new leader as they hit the back straightaway. LePage drop kicked back into the number 2 spot, trying to hold on to Hanley, but a pretty good gap. A real good gap.
Where's the rest of the
place,
field?
Dave Whitlock.
These guys have really pulled themselves out a nice sizable lead here, Dave. The pack wasn't even in view on that last shot here. So LePage and Hanley start to stretch out their lead here in the middle going of the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200 at Cayuga.
Got to be good news for everybody that this thing has settled down just a bit after a wild start in the first 5 laps. There's the 3rd place car, 92 Dave Whitlock, who has rebounded quite nicely from an absolutely disastrous first half. Blown motors, wrecked race cars, beat up driver, you name it, they've had it, but they've made every show all year long, and they're finally getting some payback on all that work through the first half.
Had a top 3 in one of our doubleheader races at Halifax, Dave, and that's really boosted their confidence. There's Mike Whedon out of Haverhill, Massachusetts, car 35. He was here back in '85 when they ran full time, but he was only here to watch. He didn't drive, and he says, I wish I had more lap time at this place because he loves the Speedway. There's room to pass, there's room to race here.
Mike Wheaton ran on the GM Goodwrench Tour back in the late 1980s. As a matter of fact, picked up a feature win at the Star Speedway in New Hampshire. Took a few years off from full-time tour racing to win himself 6 or a dozen track championships at various speedways around New England. He's one of the best, no doubt about it. He's already got a win in 1993 on the Goodwrench Tour. Back full-time and making life a little bit nervous right now for David Whitlock in 3rd place.
All that experience we talked about with Junior Hanley is making itself very evident here. Little pop of fire out of the headers, nothing to be alarmed about. Just driving his races he has so many times and so many years here. Even going back to the 70s when they ran regular weekly Friday night shows here. Junior was the dominant man then, and he's the dominant man now.
Well, they call Yankee Stadium the house that Ruth built. Cayuga Speedway may well be termed the house that Hanley and Biederman built, because those old rivalries back in the 1970s and 80s packed this place week in and week out. Junior Hanley has probably put more fannies in this grandstand than any other man alive.
Absolutely right. Here's a nice little scrap here for position. David Whitlock in the 92 and Claude Leclerc in car number 11 back for his first appearance on Raceline this year. He's supposed to be at Sauble, but that wreck at Flamborough. Now more problems here. We'll get back to Claude in a second. Yellow's coming out. Beaver Dragon is involved in car 75.
Beaver Dragon and Dan Corcoran. Corcoran looped the 25 around. There's Don Biederman pointing north in the southbound lane.
That's not
in
good.
The Torchline Chevrolet. I don't think he's done any damage, but Corcoran got a little bit sideways coming into turn 3. Crossed the car up. Dragon and Biederman spun to avoid him, but everybody drives off.
Mentioning Claude Leclerc and the fact that he was supposed to run with us on TV at Sauble, but that wreck at Flamborough 2 nights ago really finished off his streak. We'll get to that again. Let's have a look at the replay and see what caused this.
Well, you can see in the highlighted circle, somebody's shedding something down the front straightaway. Comes flying through the air. Corcoran tries to avoid it, ends up running over it with the right front corner, and you saw the rest. Dragon takes one from behind. Somebody hit the brakes and got into Beaver Dragon. He goes around and very fortunate to keep things rolling.
Claude Leclerc into the pits now.
Looked like a dry sump belt, Eric, and that may well be the problem in the Auto Pro pit.
In sports, you often hear the term Iron Man. You know, those hard-to-bruise competitors who ignore injuries, or in this case, bent race cars to put together impressive strings of games or races. They really don't care how long it takes to fix the car. They just get it done. Claude Leclerc of Repentigny, Quebec, outside of Montreal, driver of the number 11 Auto Pro Lumina, is known as the Canadian Iron Man on the GM Goodwrench Tour. Through the 91 season, Claude had missed only 2 shows. That's 326 consecutive starts. Last year, a perfect 22 for 22.
I like racing, and I like every race. I don't like a miss race like this year. This year I had a tough season, and for Antigonish, I missed 2 races. I don't have a car for going down there. I wrecked the week before at Oxford 250. That's the reason I missed the race. But the season before, I never miss a race. I like run every race.
Well, no, we don't have any photographs of Claude as a fresh-faced teenager driving a street stock somewhere, because in actual fact, Leclerc didn't start driving until 1977, and he was already 36 years old. Claude competes while operating Garage Claude Leclerc, a pretty impressive auto service center in Montreal, with the help of wife Lillian. When he's not minding the store, Claude can be found burning the midnight oil at his race shop. It is a lot of hard work, but he's used to that.
I grew up with working with my brother and my father, and my father is a very good worker. He worked at in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning to 9, 10 in the night, every day. And I grew up with the idea like that. And when I started as a mechanic, I was, before I start my home business, I had 2 jobs. One on the day, another one on the night. When Claude started running in the early days of the GM Goodwrench Tour, he spoke very little English, if any at all. But with help of drivers like Beaver Dragon and Stub Fadden, he got a lot better with his English very quickly.
Well, you know, when Claude had struggled when he first came here, you know, it was hard for him because he couldn't talk very good English. He has come a long way since then. we've helped him. We've tried to help him, you know, and they don't come any better than Claude Leclerc. You know, I mean, he's been with us a long time. He started the most races on this ACT Tour, and I just hope that he can hang on and keep going to the races with us and hanging on. You know, Claude's a heck of a good guy.
I remember when I started a tour with Tom Curley, I don't understand yes or no. Sometimes he said to me, go there, and I don't understand nothing. It's very, very important.
However, the language barrier didn't keep Leclerc out of the winner's circle. He's totaled 6 career wins, 5 Canadian championships, and he's 4th on the all-time career earnings list. Well, let's get back to Claude, the Ironman story for a second. You know, I think all of us just got so used to seeing the number 11 out there that when that crash happened at Flamborough that physically stopped the 51-year-old's Ironman streak, it upset everybody. Sure, it was only the 3rd stop he had missed in over 360 consecutive starts, but the crash shook up Claude so much, even he wasn't sure that he would continue racing.
The same night at Flamborough, I don't know what I do, but the next morning, it's very clear in my mind I'm still going to race. But I don't have a lot of money this year, and that's the reason I missed a couple races. But in my mind, I go to the race next year, and it's only my sport, and I like racing.
It only took the Ironman just a couple of weeks to jump back in, and by the 4th of July, Claude nailed a top 5 finish at Airborne Speedway in Plattsburgh, New York. Claude was back, and among those leading the cheers, GM Goodwrench boss Tom Curley.
Well, you know, I mean, Claude's been with us since the day we started back in 1978, and when you have people like Leclerc and Beaver Dragon and Ralph Nason, Kevin, those guys in your system, you know, as we all get older, you start worrying about who you're going to lose, and after that wreck, I really thought, you know, that might have been it, and it's part of the family, and when you lose somebody in the family, that hurts, and that's kind of how we felt when he was away for a few weeks, and we're delighted that he's back.
And when you add up all the totals, put Claude Leclerc down for over 16 seasons of racing, so he has thought about maybe becoming a car owner and grooming a younger driver.
It's really tough. The competition is really, really tough. The problem when I started racing in 78, 79, the guy come on a tour, he don't have money like the young guy come today. And the young guy come today like last year and this year, he got a lot of money, good sponsor, and he can't pay a good crew chief. That's held the tour, and it's tough for a guy like me.
Any driver Claude selects to drive the number 11 in the future better be made of steel, because it'll take a Superman to equal the determination and will of the Canadian Ironman, Claude Leclerc, one of racing's colorful people. Brought to you by Kodak.
Claude Leclerc, one of the real gentlemen on the GM Goodwrench Tour, all-time leader in career starts, but he won't get a finish to go with his start here today at Cayuga as he's thrown the dry sump belt off that car and he's behind the wall.
It's just great to see him back. It really, really is, because for a while there we weren't exactly sure what Claude Leclerc was going to do. Well, have a look at who's on the point here. Do we need to tell you who it is?
Stop the presses. Junior Hanley on the pole for the restart. LePage on the outside, Mike Whedon, and Mike Rowe. Remember him? I mentioned him early. He's up to the number 4 spot in the team car out of the Beaver Dragon Racing stable. The Beavs had a tough day. Mike Rowe just kind of picking his way to the front. Green is out, and LePage gets the jump on Junior Hanley. Hello, wake-up call. LePage is your leader into turn 1.
Now, there goes Junior again, really putting his foot into it. You're right. He may have been caught snoozing on that restart, and what a great restart it was for LePage. And Junior got a little bit wobbly coming out of 4, but he says, hey, you go up front here and punch the hole in the air for a while. I'll sit back here. No, he's not. He's going to duck right inside. I spoke too soon, and Hanley's got the lead back just like that.
Well, LePage may have been punching a hole in the air, but Junior punched a hole in LePage. Just drove underneath him. Junior Hanley, more horsepower on that race car than just about anything we've seen for years on the Goodwrench Tour. It seems like when he punches that pedal on the right, the car goes and nobody can hold him off.
Well, horsepower you need in the Ron Hunter power plants that he uses certainly gives him that, but you got to have it hooked up here. Ralph Nason told us that too. You can have all the horsepower in the world, but if it's not hooked up in the corners, you might as well not have it at all. And the way Junior is running, quite obviously, with his experience, he's got it hooked up. Back here with Mike Whedon in the 35.
And Mike Rowe in the 71 looking down to the inside. Rowe's got himself a strong handling race car right now, leaning on each other a little bit out of turn number 4. Mike Rowe in the Shearer Chevrolet holds on to 4th, but he's not content there, to say the least. He's working hard on the Mike Whedon car.
Driver out of Turner, Maine is doing a good job, but he's really going to have to pedal his brains out to catch these two guys up front. And look at the lead that Junior has on LePage and the rest of the lead they've got on the field.
Well, Junior Hanley in a class by himself right now. Kevin LePage content, well, maybe not content, but if he's not, he's going to have to be, because he's back there in second all by himself. Whedon and Mike Rowe in third. You can see the rundown. Beaver Dragon, despite a couple of spins, is back up to 10th as Don Biederman begins to show some smoke. Buckle on your seatbelts, Junior. Here comes the 43. This will be their first encounter of the day. Hanley goes to the outside, drives around with no incident as Biederman gives way on the inside.
Filter down the running order here, the halfway update. Pick out your favorite driver, find out where they are. Things have really shifted since the start of this thing here as we are continuing under threatening skies. It's damp around the edges here at Cayuga Speedway.
Seems like Junior Hanley pulls out to a 10 or 12 car length lead and then puts the thing on autopilot, just holds the advantage, gives himself enough insulation so that the lap traffic doesn't present a problem.
He's got that little stutter step that he does in the corners, kind of throws you off. It looks like he's slowing down when he actually isn't, but he's just holding his line here.
Let's check in back on pit road with John Massingberg.
Well, all the crew guys over the wall. We even see CASCAR campaigner Rob Neely. Bill Zardo, it's got to be painful for you to sit here on pit road. You've got such a good car and watch these races and the laps go by.
Yeah, we had a real good car, and these boys are doing a lot to try to get it going right now. We thought we had it fixed, but we found as we started to go out, the rack was gone. So they're just changing the rack now. We're going to go back out and just run for some points.
Bill, do you think some of the guys were getting a little over anxious in the early part of the day? I mean, it is a long afternoon. It's a large racetrack for ACT. They're getting a little over anxious considering this thing was 200 laps.
No, what caused the crash down there, I think, was Ralph Nason blew his engine, and everybody get into the oil, and somebody get in the back of me and turned me sideways, and that was the end of it.
Well, it's a tough break for Big Z. We hope he gets back in and gets it on. I'll tell you what, he's one of the best they've got.
Good to see Zardo having a pretty good year up until now. That win at Flamborough, his first career win on the GM Goodwrench Tour.
And he's high enough in the points that if that crew can get him back out for 50 or 60 laps at the end of this thing, it's well worth the effort, because it could get him a spot or two at the end of the year. There's Beaver Dragon, who's been involved in just about every incident all day long, picking his way back to the front. Moves down to the inside of the pole sitter, Dave Whitlock. And Dragon in the 75, despite some fiberglass damage on the right-hand side, he's moving up quickly through the field again.
They're closing up at the back end of Jeff Hanley. Yes, that is the son of Junior Hanley out of Georgetown, Ontario. And that car is owned by Danny Knoll Sr., who is a part-timer on the GM Goodwrench Tour, and of course the father of Danny Knoll Jr., a full-timer who's running out here.
There's Beaver Dragon working. There's the Beaver in his office, as it will.
Pretty calm.
Working the back bumper of Jeff Hanley down the back straightaway. Gets his hand out the window to get a little fresh air.
I thought he was waving.
No, I don't. Hi, crew. Hi, Mom. No, I don't think so. I think he's looking for some fresh air. Hop the berm a little bit. Get down into the infield. No problem. Dials it right back in and runs it down into turn number 3.
You see a pop out of the header, a little contact there with Dave Whitlock and Jeff Hanley as they scoot around the corners here. This is a much scarred up field compared to what these things looked like at the beginning.
Hard to believe this is a half-mile racetrack. Supposedly, there's plenty of room out there, but a half-mile is still short track racing. Don't believe me? Ask Ricky Harrison.
Look at this
Trust
thing.
me, that's Ricky Harrison in the 85 car. That car was there when he started, but it's not anymore. Jeff Hanley gets muscled out of the groove by Dave Whitlock. Yvonne Bedard moves to the inside. Derek Lynch moves to the inside. Boy, Jeff Hanley going backwards in a hurry.
Oh, he was. He got punted out of the way by David Whitlock, and he's still backing up out here. Whitlock is trying to pedal. And there, you mentioned Ricky Harrison in car number 85 out of Freeport, Maine. He won one of the 2 events we had at Halifax, but he has really banged his car up here at Cayuga.
And if you're wondering why these guys are working each other so hard so early, there's the reason. Junior Hanley is moving up and looking to put some people down a lap. Dad puts a lap on the kid here as they hit the back straightaway. Jeff Hanley on the inside goes a lap down to the leader, Junior Hanley in the 72.
Kevin LePage, there he is, car 21, the DF Windows, Alan Lumber, Ford Thunderbird, swinging around the outside of Jeff Hanley just about now, trying to keep up with Junior. Here we go. It's a replay of last year, Dave.
Kevin LePage may well be a bit quicker in traffic than Hanley, but Junior on an open racetrack is able to, again, open up 10 or 12 car lengths, get himself a little bit of a pad, and not have to work quite so hard and make those split-second decisions in traffic, and that may well serve him very well because LePage is quick in traffic. We got trouble on the front chute. We got a smoker heading down into turn number 1.
Going to bring out the yellow here. Yep, car number 93, a Gonzalez machine.
That's Joe Gonzalez, and I believe Lloyd Ritchie was involved in the 62 as well. Yeah, Ritchie has torn something up in the front end. Fiberglass rubbing on the left front tire. That's where the smoke is coming from, and we're back under yellow.
So let's have a look here on the restart and see if LePage can't get that jump. But it's got to be pretty frustrating as the two top cars come down pit row here.
These are scheduled pit stops near the halfway mark of the event. Everybody in. Hanley, LePage, Mike Rowe, Dave Whitlock, all the front runners. It'll be right side tires and gasoline, then everyone will be set to go the distance.
It's a parade on pit row, and this is not the pit stop contest, Dave. These are the ones that really count. Keep your eyes on the Hanley crew here in the 72, and LePage in the 21. First out of the pits gets a real advantage.
The Mike Rowe team, that's really a pickup crew trying to get the job done. There's a problem here. They're working on the left-hand side of that car. Now, this is definitely unscheduled now. The car is on the ground. They need to pick it up and get the jack under it. They started on the right-hand side, Eric.
That was what they were supposed to do.
One tire, and now Hanley is getting left at the altar. Everybody is out of the pits.
Including
Hanley's car remains on jacks as they work the left-hand side.
LePage just goes by, and he's out on the track now, and there's that advantage that we talked about. A terrible, terrible misstep there for Hanley in the pits.
Must have been a problem on a left side tire that they decided they had to change. Hanley finally gets underway. Oh, he gets moving. Let's check in with the tech file.
As with everything in life, things are evolutionary, and racing's no different. Over the years, chassis builders have managed to tweak and tune chassis so that they handle better and go faster. Engine builders are always looking for that 5, 10, 15 extra horsepower. On Raceline, we've talked about safety a lot in the past, and safety is no different when it comes to evolution. Back in the 70s, stock car racers got working with window nets that were put on the side of the car in the open window to keep them inside the car and contained, particularly the extremities, the hands and the arms, keep them inside so they wouldn't get hurt. This was the first version of it, the string net. Now, as you can see, it almost looks a little bit flimsy, but nevertheless, it did a very good job for those first days. Next evolution was the ribbon-style net, and as you can see, it's made out of seatbelt material, very, very, very strong, and it does the job, no question. But one of the problems is, if you're a driver and you've got to look through this thing towards the side, you can see that it obstructs your vision. Keeping in mind that you're on speedways anywhere from a half mile and down, what happens is, it gets very difficult to see ahead and in and down and through the corners. Well, Derek Lynch has opted for the new Pyrotech model, and as you can see, it's a very fine screen mesh. Every bit as strong as the old ribbon style, does the same kind of job, but it doesn't obstruct Derek's vision anywhere near the ribbon style. And on top of that, it does a great job of keeping the flies out.
It's got to be a sanitary sport, doesn't it? Let's get an answer now to Performance Racing News Trivia. 200 laps. There's the record. Who's got it? Randy McDonald, LePage, or Bound?
Randy McDonald, the Ontario Golden Boy, back on the 7th of June, 1992. An hour and 44 minutes. We won't come close to that today.
Back with more on Raceline in just a moment. Welcome back to Cayuga Speedway, the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200. Eric Thomas, Dave Moody, and John Messingberg.
On the pole for the restart, Pete Checkered in car number 79. Now, Checkered virtually the only driver on the racetrack in contention that did not pit under that yellow. Seems strange to think that he might try and go the distance, 200 laps on tires and fuel, but he did not pit. The lap car of Yvonne Bedard on the outside, second place automobile, 71 Mike Rowe. First time out this year, pickup crew, and they got him out of the pits first on the pit stop.
Excellent service for the Turner main driver. Now, Pete Checkered out of Brampton normally is the crew chief on the Bill Zardo Senior machine. He has a lot of laps logged at this place. He's out front here and pedaling hard. He knows there's more powerful machines in behind him, Dave.
He's going to need every bit of that experience because Checkered on used tires trying to hold off Mike Rowe, and you can see the difference. Rowe able to stick it right down on the inside of the racetrack. Checkered drifting high in the 79. Kevin LePage already up to third on new tires as well. So Pete Checkered is going to have a back door full of trouble here in a minute.
Kevin LePage got excellent service out of his crew as well. They won the pit stop competition. Pretty good practice for him. Didn't take him long to get up here in the top three. Look at him go.
Pete Checkered in the 79, sideways off the corner, and that opens the door for Mike Rowe. Rowe in the center. Oh, he's sideways again. Rowe gets tagged, and around he goes. LePage got into the back bumper of Mike Rowe as they tried to dodge Pete Shepard. Rowe, the second-place car, spins out of it, and we've got a yellow flag.
Award-winning maneuver by Kevin LePage to duck out of danger. He didn't miss the spun car by very much, and he stays out there. That's what happens when you run here on worn tires, Dave.
Well, Pete Shepard driving at 100%. Unfortunately, his tires were only up to about 85%. Got sideways. Rowe lifted, and as they ran in close quarters, LePage, with no choice, got into the back end, and some smoke off the DF Windows machine of Kevin LePage. So Mike Rowe will go to the back. LePage, pulling up on the pace car, is going to come to pit road.
LePage has got to come in and find out what the heck's going on with all that smoke back there. Shades of last year when he was running strong, only to have something mechanical go wrong. It was fuel then, but now there's something wrong with that smoke.
No apparent damage on the DF Windows machine either, and that is not necessarily good news for the LePage crew. There's the 21 in, Junior Hanley back in the 72. Hanley started just about dead last after that unplanned pit excursion. Now they're going to take some left side tires on the Kevin LePage car. Now under Goodwrench Tour rules, you can change only 2 tires per caution period. Hanley and LePage took on 2 last time, 2 this time, so they're on 100% fresh rubber.
Car number 9, Yvon Bedard out of Saint-Étienne, Quebec, in his Chevrolet Lumina, will lead the field around for the restart. Down to the last couple of pages here, the GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200 at Cayuga. Speeds come up, they're coming out of turn number 4, Dave.
The inside pole car, Yvon Bedard in the 9 on the tail end of the lead lap. 92, Dave Whitlock is the leader. Second is Bill Zardo Jr. inside of row 2 in the 40. Then the 75 of Beaver Dragon. So Yvon Bedard has got to get out of the way or he's going to be run over by the leaders as they're set to decide it here at Cayuga.
Zardo Jr., who's running part-time this year with a budget problem, had a header blow off the car earlier on the weekend, but he says the car's handling pretty well. Well, it's down toward the bottom end of the event, but the car is handling pretty good, but the pressure is really on from Beaver Dragon in car 75.
Beaver Dragon used the outside lane, followed Dave Whitlock around. Another car crotched up sideways and hanging onto it right now. Dragon in the 75 leads it. There's Bill Zardo Jr., Little Z, as he's known on the Goodwrench Tour, doing a little dirt tracking himself. The number 40 holding on to second. What a great day that would be for Bill Zardo Jr. His bank account could use a top 2 paycheck.
Could it ever? Full-time last year, just part-time this year, new arrival to the family. Sometimes the priorities will do that to you. But he does run strong in the events that he does compete in.
Beaver Dragon now just working the back bumper of the lap car, Dave Whitlock. Here come the Flyers out of the back of the pack. LePage and Hanley down to the inside of Bill Zardo. Zardo goes from 2nd to 4th, just like that, and Hanley underneath LePage takes over the number 2 spot.
When your car handles as well as this Hanley machine is, you can do that. If he gets you down low, you're done. And LePage knew that. He just couldn't get down low enough, and Hanley clicks off another position, closing in on that top spot.
Now remember, Eric, Hanley and LePage on 4 virtually new tires. Dragon took on only rights, did not come in the second time, so the handling advantage should belong to Hanley as if he needs it. Puts the horsepower to work on the outside, pulls even at the end of the back straightaway, and Junior Hanley around the outside, easy as that, regains the lead.
Oh, that number 10 win is looking pretty good on the dashboard right now, but you know the car is handling well with those tires. When you can put it up high that late in the race with all this debris and the marbling on the track, you know the thing is sticking just about perfect. We've seen it so many times before. The guy they've been catching almost since the get-go in points. Junior Hanley out in front. Kevin LePage doing his darndest to try and stay with him here in car 21.
LePage going to the outside of the Beaver, and just like Hanley before him, LePage drives around the outside to second place. But Junior Hanley beginning to check out once again. 10 car lengths the lead for Hanley in the Molson X machine in search of his 10th win in 17 starts this year as Ricky Harrison tries to find the lane through turn 4, and that lets LePage close up on him on the front chute. LePage going low. LePage trying to make, he's in the grass. LePage somehow keeps it under control.
Oh no.
Holy cow, a close call for Hanley and for Kevin LePage as they played dodgeball with the lap car of Ricky Harrison. Another close call.
Gonzalez into the wall here. That's going to bring out the yellow. I thought Harrison had LePage collected for sure. I really did.
Junior Hanley's got to be wondering what he's got to do to win this thing. The lap cars have gone goofy in front of the leader here in the last lap or so. Ricky Harrison got trapped. The rookie with 1 leader on the outside, the other leader on the inside, tried to hold the low groove and took LePage right through the boondocks in turn 1.
The second evasive maneuver by Kevin LePage out of Shelburne, Vermont, as the rain that we've been talking about about since the beginning is starting to fall. You can see the tarmac here getting a little bit shiny. The rain is coming down. The wipers, what wipers? Pace car's okay. He's in good shape. It's these guys you got to worry about,
Just
Dave.
follow the flashing lights, Junior.
Right.
Boy, what a way for this one to end. We've been dodging the raindrops all weekend. Looked like we were going to get through this thing without getting wet again, but
white flag
is out, and it looks like this one's going to have to end under the caution flag. I'm not sure it would have been any different at the front between Hanley and LePage, although Kevin LePage, I'll tell you, he rolled the dice in a big way when they came up on that lap car. That was an all-or-nothing move.
He was down on the grass to try and avoid the Ricky Harrison automobile, distinctly in trouble. And that's the second time he really had to bail out of danger in a hurry. Heads-up driving by Kevin LePage, who's always impressed me. I really like his style.
Well, now Junior Hanley, unless the Molson X machine gets struck by lightning on the back straightaway, is going to walk this thing home to victory number 10 in 17 starts for 1993. Kevin LePage, I'm sure, a little bit disappointed not to be able to give Hanley one more shot on a restart, but he will settle for the number 2 position in a strong run this afternoon for the DF Windows team.
Slowly they turn around turn number 4. You see the wipers still going and the lights on top of the pace car, signifying we are not yet ready to go. The fans are filing out of the grandstands, and checkers from John Holbert. And this one will end under yellow, and it's win number 10 on the GM Goodwrench Tour for Campbellville, Ontario's Junior Hanley, just clicking them off, Dave.
The rain coming down very hard right now, and it's going to be a long time before they could get this thing dried up. So there's how it ends. Hanley the winner, LePage in second, Beaver Dragon after an eventful day gets third, followed by Dave Whitlock and Bill Zardo Jr.
Pete Shepard, Derek Lynch, Kip Stockwell inside the top 10. Yvonne Bedard, nice run for him. And Jeff Hanley pulls off a top 10 finish as well. And we're back to talk with the winner, Junior Hanley, on Raceline in a moment. Cayuga Speedway, Nels Corners, Ontario, just south of Hamilton. Win number 10 for Campbellville, Ontario's Junior Hanley. Here's John.
Well, discussion with a crew member. Junior Hanley looking more like he's needing a windshield wiper than anything else. Junior, congratulations, another win on the GM Service Plus 200.
Yeah, the car was really good, and we were planning on pitting, and caution come out, and the guys went to change the right, and all of a sudden the left was flat, so they had to go around the left. I almost drove off with the left rear tire off.
Yeah, we saw that from the roof cam, Junior. On top of that, though, you played the typical game that you play so well, which is a couple of quick pit stops in succession to get the kind of tires that you needed. Did that make the difference for you this afternoon?
Not really. The car was really good the whole race, and I wasn't even going to pit there one time, and then it just come out around 100 laps, so I said, well, we got nothing to lose, so we're going to pit now, and then just lucky the left rear was flat.
Well, congratulations, Junior, again, well on his way to his third GM Goodwrench Tour Championship. Junior Hanley, Campbellville, Ontario.
And Eric, 10 wins in 17 starts. 10 for 17, a batting average that John Olerud would kill for.
He sure would. Revell Monogram Performer of the race. Twice he dove out of danger with evasive action. Kevin LePage, great job.
LePage led the race a couple of times and then saved it right at the end with a little maneuver through the grass. Great day today.
Well, congratulations, Kevin and Donna. Second place finish today. Donna, you were matching Junior tit for tat when it came to tire changes and fuel. What was Kevin telling you on the radio?
He wasn't telling us much, except the car was good, but we knew we had to do the same thing Junior did.
Kevin, it was a good run this afternoon. You chased him, you led for a bunch of laps this afternoon, but Junior's got a lot of horsepower. Could you have got him if we had not got this rain situation?
Well, I'll tell you, we were catching him towards the end, and all of a sudden we come down the straightaway, and a lap car was in the middle. He was in the bottom, he was on the top, and I'll tell you, it almost wrecked all three of us there, and I ended up putting the whole four wheels down in the grass down here, and that basically ended my chances of catching Junior. We ran real strong. The DF Windows, Allen Lumber, Thunderbird. The crew did a super job coming in the pits. I mean, both times we came out ahead of Junior. It's just that we were just down a little bit on power. We were handling as good as he was, but here it's a horsepower track. It really needs to be all power here, and for what we run with and the equipment we got, to finish second to him, I'm pretty happy.
Well, congratulations, Kevin and Donna LePage, second place at this afternoon's GM Goodwrench Service Plus 200. Well, Bieber got physical in the early going, but you got a break, you got a pit stop and got back out and gained back up a bunch of positions to finish third. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. We did have some problems in the beginning. It seems though every time there's a wreck, I had to be right in the middle of it, and we were lucky enough to keep the front end of the car and the back end too. And I knew with the crew that I had behind me that we'd get to the front after a while, and it just took 200 laps to do it, but we did it.
The crew was really pumped. We saw them on pit road for your pit stops. They looked good. It was fast. and your driving was just what it is almost every time out. It was great.
Well, we tried hard, and they did an awful good job, you know. I mean, they're the ones that deserve the credit, not only me. All I did was steer the car, but they're the ones that put the car underneath me.
Well, Beaver, I know you want to fold the tent. Lots of rain out here this afternoon. Congratulations on a fine third-place finish.
Thank you very much.
Well, Dave, let's make this quick here. We're getting rained on. The 10th victory for Junior Hanley of Campbellville, Ontario doesn't necessarily put a stranglehold on his third consecutive championship, but I think it puts a figure 4 leg lock on it, if you want to use that.
He hasn't got his fingers quite clenched around the throat, but the breath is coming a little bit shorter, no doubt about it. Big afternoon for Beaver Dragon as he drives through a couple of wrecks, makes a big move over Ralph Nason in the point standing. So the Beaver proves that if you just keep on hacking at it, sometimes the race will come back at you.
And what an afternoon, too, for Bill Zardo Jr.
Excellent day. Bill Zardo Jr. has been forced to run a very limited schedule this year, only a handful of races. Today definitely was his shining moment of the year.
That's going to wrap it up from a rather soggy Cayuga Speedway. On behalf of Dave Moody and John Massingbird, I'm Eric Thomas, and we'll talk to you next time on Raceline. Racing radio is provided by New Venture Communications, London, Ontario. In-car and wall cameras supplied by Sony Canada, makers of the Sony Handycam.
Raceline has been brought to you by new Kodak Gold Ultra 400 film for all your Kodak moments. Your GM Goodwrench Service Plus dealers, where your oil change is ready in 29 minutes or your next one is free. Revell Monogram, the world's model maker. And Aerofoil Wiper Blade, the leading edge in wiper technology.